And right now, we are about 2 minutes away from the end of the trading day. Romaine Bostick here with Alix Steel to take you through the closing bell. And it's our global simulcast. It begins right now. Scarlet Fu joining us in the TV studio. Carol Massar lost in space along with Tim Stenovec in the radio booth as we welcome our audiences across all of our Bloomberg platforms. Carol Massar here on this Monday afternoon.
Can we do like the debate on Thursday? Can we just shut off your mic? Can we do that?
Oh, Carol.
Oh,
She's coming in hot on this Monday afternoon.
What's wrong with her?
that was mean.
That was mean?
Yeah, he was saying lost in space because I think you said Danger Will Robinson earlier.
Oh, is that what you said?
From our
were you actually listening?
Romaine watches.
I used to listen to your show, but after today.
Romaine watches, he listens. Is that what you said, Danger Will Robinson?
I did. Wow, I'm really charmed that that was okay. All right, I take it back. All right, let's talk a little bit about markets. Some outperformance, a little focus here. Banking stocks actually outperforming the broader trade here, up about 1.7%. You guys saw that story about folks in the know saying the Fed has shown some regulators maybe some changes to the bank capital overhaul. So maybe it could be a little bit more positive to banks. But banks have really been up, I think, most of the session here.
Look, I can't go any further without talking about
I'm trying to come back here. That
Nvidia.
was hard.
It's just down 6.66%, down more than 12% over the last 3 days. Interestingly enough, not dragging down the entire index, although the NASDAQ kind of getting pummeled. But the S&P 500 only down 0.2%.
That may be the case right now, but you wonder what's really going to be the catalyst this week. I mean, we know PCE on Friday, but until then, it feels a little bit like we're just kind of drifting.
As we get the closing bells here in New York, some weird price action here on the day as you're seeing some of the transports, industrials, and cyclical names get a bid while everything else, I don't know, kind of is on the back foot. The Dow Jones Industrial Average higher by about 260 points, roughly 0.7%, right around that 39,400 mark. The S&P 500 is going to close in the red, only down about 0.3%. Obviously, a big drag today coming from Nvidia and a couple of the other big tech companies, including Amazon, Broadcom, and Microsoft. The NASDAQ also feeling the pain from those same names, lower by about 1% on the day. And the Russell 2000, a relatively decent bid here on the day, decent outperformance, up 0.4% here on the day.
All right, Romaine. So let's get to the S&P 500 a little bit more. Most names, surprisingly, actually gaining ground today. 353, 147 to the downside, 3 unchanged, even despite what I would call a meh trade here, Scarlett, on this Monday.
Yeah, I'm looking at the sector performances, and 9 out of 11 groups are in the green. Now, it doesn't look that way on this IMAP because tech, which is the biggest sector in the S&P 500, is down by more than 2% thanks to weakness in supermicro, computer, and Nvidia. On the flip side, the biggest gainers, energy. You have all 22 energy names in the S&P 500 gaining as oil prices rebound. Utilities and consumer staples also doing at least better than 1%. All
right, Scarlett, let's get to some of the individual gainers. Kind of a mixed bag for me. ALNY, Alnylam Pharmaceuticals, really an outperformer in today's session, up about 34%. This is after one of its drugs succeeded in treating a progressive and deadly form of heart disease, potentially opening up a new avenue for the company's top-selling products. So this was certainly a big gainer in today's session. Cocoa prices easing, slumping the lowest in about a month. Some favorable weather in West Africa boosting the supply outlook amid thin trading. So you had names like Hershey up about 2.9% in today's session. You had Mondelez up about 2.9%. So some outperformance in those names. And here's another one we don't necessarily talk a lot about, RXO. This one was up about 23% in today's session. The trucking company agreed to buy UPS's asset-light freight brokerage business, Coyote Logistics, for more than $1 billion in a deal that adds scale, according to analysts. So that was an outperformer in today's session.
Okay, you got the gainers. I got the decliners. I do want to start with shares of Nvidia. They fell 6.7%, closing with the biggest drop in 2 months, down for a third day in a row. Over that 3-day period, down close to 13%. So officially in correction. Lost about $430 billion in market cap over the last 3 days. It's no longer in the $3 trillion club when it comes to market cap. We should note it's up nearly 140% so far this year. So zooming out, the stock has still had just an incredible performance. The last 3 days have been tough for shareholders, if they got in, especially if they got in just last week. ResMed shares falling 11.5% today. On the percentage basis, the worst performer in the S&P 500. Makers of devices that treat sleep apnea, such as ResMed, tumbled today. It followed additional clinical data from Eli Lilly that showed its weight loss drug reduced the severity of sleep apnea. So we saw shares of companies that make devices to treat sleep apnea fall today on that news. Also watching shares of Coinbase down 6% as crypto-linked companies fell today. Bitcoin did extend losses over cooling demand for Bitcoin. Finally, I do want to talk about ADRs of Airbus, checking in on those, down more than 6% today. This after the company cut its earnings and aircraft delivery goals for the year. Supply chain issues, believe it or not, continuing to deprive the company of components. It's a setback for Airbus at a time when demand for its jets are at a record. So still having supply chain issues when it comes to getting those critical parts for aircraft.
All right, guys, looking at the bond market, I mean, there's really nothing to see here. It's back-end loaded, a little bit of buying coming down, yields a little lower into PCE. But I just want to point out, some are looking at 4.186 on the 10-year, that being a technical level. And it's not that we're that far from that level. So kind of watch that as we get into the heavy eco data on Friday.
Well, speaking of eco data, maybe a potential read on economic conditions. Pool Corp, we don't talk about it a lot here, but it is the dominant seller of pools, and it just revised its guidance for the quarter lower by a significant amount. The company saying that it now sees new pool units for the full year down 15 to 20%, and says that it's seeing remodeling activity overall in homes down about 15% on this year. That compares to a previous estimate of flat to down 10%. The net effect of that is that the EPS range, the guidance that it's giving for the full year, $11 to $11.44 a share. Its previous guidance was $13 roughly to $14 a share here. So again, less a concern maybe about Pool Corp itself and maybe a read on discretionary spending, at least on some of those big ticket items. We should point out the shares are actually halted right now, which is why they're unchanged.
Yeah, just looking at the release, the most recent pool permit data suggests persistently weak demand for new pool construction. Peak selling season almost complete. We now believe that new pool construction activity could be down, as you said, 15 to 20% for the year. Remodel activity down as much as 15%. So you do wonder whether, I don't know, is it just that everybody's done it or just people pulling back in general, at least for those who are thinking about,
Have you seen the cost of a pool?
It's not inexpensive.
Very well said. What's interesting here is in this release, they say that more than 60% of our business comes from recurring revenue and is generally not impacted by macroeconomic conditions. So these are customers who normally would spend a lot and not spending as much.
Yeah, well, it's all like the accessories and stuff. I remember my uncle got a pool, and like all he did was complain about the cost to maintain it.
It's
Best
the
thing to
chlorine,
have.
it's all the things, yeah.
The best thing to have is a friend with a pool.
I have that. I have
Not
that.
an actual
It's
pool.
awesome.
Everybody knows that.
And you know what else, Carol? It's good to have a friend with a boat,
Yes.
which I've never been invited.
No idea what you're talking about.
Yeah,
All
one
right,
day that yacht of yours, to have a Bloomberg Markets to close.
So let's talk about something that is not going on anymore. It turns out, do you get your shoe shined?
Well, okay, go ahead.
No.
No, do you, Romaine? Do any of
I
you
do.
guys?
Yeah, you know I do. So go
Okay,
ahead.
I know you do. You're pretty dapper. So what's interesting, though, is it's really kind of been a staple of New York for decades, years, right? I mean, people, just not even just Wall Streeters, but
Yeah.
everybody, right? You go to a stand, you sit, you get your shoes. I've done it. It's kind of fun. It's kind of neat. But it turns out, as the world has gotten much more casual, and they're wearing things like sneakers, unfortunately, these guys, they don't have a lot of business
It's Tim's
anymore.
fault. Tim, because you know that guy wears sneakers in the office.
I wear
People
sneakers
like
nonstop.
Tim.
Hey, it's not just me. Jamie Dimon is now wearing sneakers. So
Where's a pair
you know,
of black Common Projects? I've never heard of Common
I
Projects.
haven't either,
that
but
doesn't
I gotta look
Okay,
them
now
up
we're
after
gonna look
this.
him
It's
up.
like Golden Goose,
Distressed
$400. They're not
Okay, but
distressed.
Speaking
but
of
they're
distress,
expensive.
the whole thing with the shoe shiners is that they're now trying
Yeah.
to clean sneakers. So you can go to them and then they'll make your sneakers look good, which is tough if you're wearing Golden Goose.
I was just going to say, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll just give you an anecdote. I do get my shoes shined around the corner from here, and the woman who used to do it, she's no longer there. She's not working. I don't think she got as much business once they
Yeah.
reopened after the pandemic. So
Yeah.
unfortunately, she moved on. So sorry to end on that sad note there.
Yeah, that's not good. But the idea that you got to sort of pivot and that Wall Street is definitely changing is a big part of that. Okay, let's go to something else that's kind of fun. And that apparently is that the so-called Ozempic revolution has wiped off, billions of
It's a
food and
revolution?
drink companies. That's what they're calling it. It's an Ozempic revolution with a capital O and a capital R. So apparently that they're boosting
Do I need to
sales
take up
of
arms?
yogurt.
Yogurt.
Yogurt. This
do I
is a
do
new
with
thing.
yogurt?
That maybe with yogurt, that's
Does that
a
help
way.
you lose weight?
I think that maybe you go from chips to yogurt.
It's
is
high
the idea?
protein and it's not too filling because, Ozempic obviously makes you not want to eat as much. It reduces your craving, but you get the protein. So that way you get the protein, but in a smaller package. And so all the yogurt companies are like, we're totally seeing a lot of demand. We're delivering a lot more varieties.
Remember a few months ago when everybody was concerned about the, the packaged food companies just struggling as a result of Ozempic? Well, we all knew that they would actually just change what they were selling and get people to buy what they were, buying before or what they're buying when they're taking Ozempic.
It's not just yogurt, too. I was, there's going to be a debut in a couple weeks. I had down at General Mills, I got to interview their CFO for a special project, and they were talking a lot about, they took me through their test kitchen, all these new products they're trying to come up with to kind of address, I guess, what Alex was talking about there, which is, I guess, when you're on Ozempic, you need a certain different type of protein or different level
and also
or
it doesn't fill you as much.
So,
and
but all these food companies are working on trying to head that off at the pass.
All right, so that means, Tim, no more sandwiches.
No more sandwiches? But cereal and yogurt, that's fun.
PBJs. Tim's a big PBJ guy.
Dairy.
In the 4 o'clock hour, they come out.
Does he take the crust off, too?
No.
No, but it's a big sandwich. All right,
Whole
guys,
thing.
that is a wrap. Our cross-platform radio,
Rocket
TV,
fuel,
YouTube,
Tim.
Bloomberg Originals. We will see you again, same time, same place tomorrow.